And we are off. Now, with our settings today, we are starting straight at the ship. We'll be having a conventional start here where our runners will be quickly waltzing through the hive chambers and making their way to the GFMC compound to pick up their first missile launcher, which could be either the missile launcher itself or, if luck would favor them, the seeker missiles, as both items give 5 missiles and can be considered a valid missile launcher by the logic. So, we're going to be seeing our runners check one item up ahead in the temple assembly site, and they will be checking to see if that is worth doing the what's known as the task jump for. What that is done is using some angled terrain to essentially gain extra height from a jump by stacking the upward momentum from your base jump and the slope. But first, we will most likely see our runners perform an industrial site skip here. What they will try to do is there's additional angled terrain near a rock near the giant cargo containers in industrial site that you can get another slope jump off of to get on top of the cargo crates and then onto the giant cargo lift. In doing so, they will be able to trigger the movement of this cargo lift from on top of it, and they will actually be hitching along for the ride. And it seems like both of them getting the trick done fairly smoothly. They will then skip the cutscene at the appropriate time, which will place them right on top of the door, and hopefully not out of bounds. Now, while we are running on a no tricks logic difficulty for this seed, the items will be placed in a manner that does not expect our runners to do anything particularly fancy. However, we do allow tricks such as out of bounds, slope jumps, double bomb jumps, bomb space jumps, and stuff of similar nature. It would appear we have a suit to start things off today in the temple assembly site. Early dark suit, that may be something our runners decide to go for if they are on their way back from Alpha Splinter. Early Dark Suit, especially with no energy tanks, is a tremendous time boost for Dark World time. Dark World damage on various suit is 6 damage per second, whereas Dark Suit, it is cut down to 20% of that, 1.2 damage per second. So their Dark Aether time goes up from slightly over 16 seconds to about 1.5 minutes. What we're seeing our runners do now is what is known as the dupe jump. This is another slope jump. Yeah, there's a lot of slope jumps in the early game. Jumping up this angled rock in front of the GFS tier in order to try and, it seems Jagger's actually not going for it, decides to just go ahead and grab what is the, or I should say actually nailed it pretty quickly. Bash following suit soon after. You can tell Jagger completed the dupe jump because he's running with 10 missiles. So the item is duplicated after you pick it up, trigger the GFS tier cutscene, and pick up the item again, because the crate reloads to show the cutscene of Samus standing over the dead GF captain. We're seeing another trick from Jagger here, where he will use scan dashes to get on top of the ledge getting into the entrance to Temple Transport Violet without the need for performing the kinetic orb cannon puzzle. Both runners are quite good at their craft. They are both excellent prime runners. And as Bellator points out, we had a sub-4 entrance into the elevator for JaggerG. That is quite good. And it looks like we have a power bomb expansion in Transport A access. Jagger kind enough to scan that for us. And we're on to the Splinters fight. Now, what Jagger's hoping for is some extra missile drops in order to make the fight with the Dark Alpha Splinter a little easier, and it does look like he got those drops. Although Alpha Splinter pushing around quite hard today. Alpha Splinter does 15 damage on contact, but 4 charge shots later, and Dark Alpha Splinter will begin. And for some reason, Dark Alpha Splinter is slower than Alpha Splinter. Although, to be fair, it does gain projectiles, so sacrifices must be made, you know? The combination of a charge shot plus a missile does 80 damage, so it is one of the faster forms of DPS against Dark Alpha Splinter given our current equipment. And it looks like Jagger is going to be our first runner to take down Dark Alpha Splinter here, with Bash not too far behind. And we get early space jump, so that Dark Suit in Temple Assembly Site is already in Launchic. I'm sure our runners are going to be very happy to see that. The next item, which they will be picking up here from the top of the Great Temple, is, of course, going to be the Violet Translator, as they kind of need it. It's their only way out to continue the seed. This will also allow us to see our first hint of the seed. Nice improvement to Metroid Prime 2 Randomizer is that scanning these Luminous Hollow terminals will give us hints, much like the hint tablets in A Link to the Past. There is a major upgrade in Sand Cache in Aegon Waste, which is locked by Amber Translator. A major upgrade can qualify as many items: a suit, a morph ball system, a movement system, a missile system, which in this case the only missile system left is Seekers, as supers are considered a charge combo. Visor upgrades and translators may qualify. Basically anything that might show up on the tracker is considered a major item, except keys. Now, with Space Jump already in tow, our runners will be able to pick up this missile tank that is in Transport B access, if they so wish, by doing a slope jump up against this sort of strut in the ground. But it looks like both runners have decided to skip on that, and will just take 10 missiles with them back down to Temple Assembly Site. Next port of call for our runners will be to check Storage Cavern B here, which will give them their grapple beams. That's pretty interesting. Grapple beam's not going to do us a lot of favors for Aegon Wastes, but it does especially help things out once they do find access to Torvis, and to a lesser extent, Sanctuary. And indeed, both runners will be practically simultaneously picking up their dark suits. So with both runners having Dark Suit in tow, they now have about a minute and a half of Dark Aether time in the Dark World, which is good news for their early Dark World traversals. We're going to get our next version of hints in Prime 2 Randomizer coming from the deceased Lumineth Keybearers, who will tell you what the Flying Ink cache in their respective location is. And I believe that was an energy tank in a Curse Lake. Bash will give us another quick look here. I stand corrected. It is a Sky Temple key, which means Dark Visor is required for this seed. And our next hint is that the Amber Translator is also in Aegon Wastes. So the major item that is there in Sand Cache will probably be fairly easily accessible. We also got a Power Bomb tank here in the Aegon elevator, so our runners do have a Power Bomb to use for their early Aegon traversals, which is good news, because they do not currently have regular bombs for getting out of Bomb Guardian's arena. Getting a mining plaza look. Unfortunately, I can't see too well on JaggerG's end. Hopefully our amazing eagle-eyed folks in chat will help us out here, since they have a better quality on their playback. It is a Sky Temple key in the mining plaza, which means that a Morbus will be required for this seed, ladies and gentlemen. With that in mind, I'm just going to go ahead and tack +1 Amorbus onto my tally. Amorbus has made himself quite known in the bracket stages this tourney, now being required 5 times now, with this match being that 5th match. Amber Translator in the mining station access. Jagger could not pick this up because he missed his power bomb. But with that Amber Translator in tow, Bash is going to backtrack to check the mining plaza hint to see that another major upgrade can be found in Aegon Waste Command Center, which we can access currently courtesy of Space Jump. Now, I blinked and I missed what Jagger found in... Oh, it was main power bombs in the portal access. So now both of our runners have main power... or Bash will get main power bombs in a moment, which will mean... for the logic assumes that you have the main... that you cannot use power bombs until you pick up the main launcher. So this now puts anything that they could have unlocked with the single power bomb they got earlier back in play. Bash getting bullied a little bit here by these pirates. They do not joke around. They do 5 damage per shot. And it appears that another Morph Ball system can be found in Dark Aegon Waste, and Sandcash has our Light Beam. Light Beam, especially useful for... it's going to be a little more useful for getting to labs from the Aegon Temple. But it looks like Jagger's first port of call here will be to fight Bomb Guardian. And Jagger's going to be using power bombs here to bust open the door to Bomb Guardian's room. Now, unfortunately, he is down to his last power bomb, actually, so he either needs to use that power bomb to get out, or since they both have space jump, they can... Oh, Jagger actually being a little heads up here, using the bomb to blow up the door and take out Bomb Guardian simultaneously. Very nicely done. Bomb Guardian's spoils for us today are extra missiles. So yeah, as Chad points out, we have quite a stacked Aegon here to start things off, and quite a stacked Temple Grounds, all things considering, too. We had Dark Suit and Grapple Beam already. Space Jump was free. So definitely looking good for our runners here as they start things off. They're going to begin by... looks like Jagger. Jagger was thinking about checking Sand Canyon, or Ventilation Area A, but no bombs means no bomb jumping is possible yet. Don't have the best look at Mining Station A, but unfortunately I do believe that is a missile tank. We do know that a Morph Ball system is in Dark Aegon, which means that it won't be long until our runners pick up. It's most likely that Morph Ball system is going to be Spider Ball. Spider Ball unlocks a lot more checks in Aegon than it does in... than Boost Ball does. Seeing as Spider Ball can be an alternative way out of labs... One of the keys needed for Storage C, potentially, is the tool for Central Mining Station, whereas Boost Ball is only good for sand processing. So Jagger going to actually be our first runner into labs. Bash is taking a quick detour here to check the item in Transport Center. This is not a bad idea to see if you have to maybe prioritize Dark Aegon later, but it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's just a light ammo tank in Transport Center. Now, what Bash is doing is he's performing a save warp. This is another quality of life feature of the Randomizer, where if you choose to decline to save at a save station, you may choose to warp to start by pressing X 3 times. So we'll see what is found here. I didn't get a good look at what was in Central Mining Station, but I do see a visor upgrade. That is the Dark Visor in that is the Dark Visor in Command Center, as hinted in that major upgrade hint, and that is indeed a major upgrade. With Dark Visor in tow, we can now get we now have the ability, I should say, to check the in caches, which means we now have access with Secret Missiles eventually to the Sky Temple Key in a Cursed Lake. This seed most certainly putting our tracker Bellator to work this afternoon. Our runners are finding stuff left and right. Unfortunately, the Hive Chamber check's not panning out for Bash, as he's now on his way to as both of the items were just expansions. And it seems Jagger is making the full labs loop here. This makes a lot of sense, given that we have Space Jump but no Dark Beam, and no bombs for that matter, therefore we cannot even access Dark Aegon currently. Although it's a safe bet that our next progression has to be in, well, it could be in Central Mining Station, as we do have Light Beam and Space Jump, which is enough to get there. Again, I didn't quite see what it was before, and I unfortunately still can't get the best view on it from here. Bash is, or I should say, Jagger is not going to destroy that third container on the right side of the Central Mining Station in order to avoid a pirate fight. But gets a nice, takes advantage of the fact that pretty much anything in Prime 2, if it looks like it's standable, it is, and is going to grab the missile tank here in Central Mining Station. And there is a Morph Ball system in the Battleground in cache, which Jagger could get relatively soon as he acquires Dark World access. This may be the Spider Ball hint that was demonstrated just now in the Mining Station A hint. Ooh, as Bellator points out, it could very well be Morph Ball bombs here in Battleground. Although our runners do not currently have any form of Dark World access, they would need Dark Beam for that to be possible. Which the only place Dark Beam could be that might allow this possibility is bioenergy production at this point. And that's actually pretty much where our runners will end their journey here as far as the labs play. It could also be Vanilla Dark Beam. Our runners do have access to Storage D. However, if it is not Dark Beam, they are soft locked. And it seems Jagger is also making the trip back to check out Dark Missile Trooper here and the Hive Chamber B. Unfortunately, not going to be of much value this time around. So it looks like our runners do have to. Our runners are down to two kind of annoying checks right now, given the circumstances. Although with Light Beam and Space Jump, Bash is going to take a quick detour here to check the Key Bearer hint here in Landing Site for the Defiled Shrine hint, which contains a red temple key. Bash was also a little bit late getting to Sand Cache, but now he's not going for DMT, so our runners, unfortunately, there is really not much else our runners can do. They can, I believe, get I do believe that power bombs work on the item and communications area. Our runners cannot access Plane of Dark Worship yet, as they don't have access to Dark World. Oh, I know. Bash is actually going to go check Dynamo Chamber here. This actually is in logic with main power bombs found, so this makes a lot of sense, actually. Bash taking advantage of the fact that if you are out of a particular ammo type, there is a very significant chance you will get the drop that you seek to fill that ammo back up, about 80%. However, Dynamo Chamber is Dynamo Chamber. Yeah, right. Dynamo Chamber is not our answer, as it is only another missile tank. JaggerG taking advantage of the fact that the splinters up top also drop power bombs to save a little bit of time in room transitioning, and it is another missile expansion in the communications area, so it does seem, although with our current equipment, we also can get back to GFMC courtesy of power bombing the gate. And Ing Reliquary is dead. That's a check that our runners definitely want to see dead, because that Reliquary is a pretty annoyingly late game item to reach. You need Secret Missiles, Dark World Access, and Light Suit, and Dark Visor. And Jagger has decided that since the entirety of this Temple Grounds play ended up not having any items of value whatsoever, he's electing to do a hard reset to get back to zip back to Aegon. It does now appear that our remaining two checks are down to storage, not storage, bioenergy production and storage D. Bash is going to take a little bit of an extra time here to go down this fortress transport access here to go check the hint. Playing for hints is a very good strategy, especially... Oh, Dark Beam is vanilla. That is a really good hint for BashPime. So Bash is... I think he's having a little bit of a thought of how faster it would be to get back to Aegon, and it looks like he is going to indeed go around the temple grounds to get back, rather than take the Great Temple elevator. Actually, he can't get through anyway because he doesn't have Emerald Translator. And Jagger is taking a guess here, I would wager, to go to fight Dark Samus 1 for Dark Beam. And this will play out in his favor, as we do know Dark Beam is vanilla today. I wonder how Jagger is going to react when he sees the Dark Beam hint in GFMC. But yeah, this is very good news for... this is definitely a nice time save for Jagger. Bash, at the very least, is going to have the confidence of knowing that as soon as he gets that, he knows where the right path is. Now, if you have just a couple of seconds, would you take a quick moment to wave hello and goodbye to Dark Samus? And down she goes. Yeah, she's weak to power bombs. 5 times weak to Annihilator Beam, which does 12 damage per shot. Now, unfortunately, because Jagger had to pick up the Dark Beam out of Storage D before fighting Dark Samus, he is going to have to reload the room in order for the item in main reactor here to become visible, not to mention the spider track also becoming usable. 23 minutes in, and we are still on the lookout for our Morph Ball bombs. What Jagger was trying to do there was a... unfortunately, I think he forgot he didn't have bombs. He was actually going to try and do a bomb space jump move in order to get on top of some standable terrain generated by the dead turret. However, this unfortunately doesn't work without bombs. This does, however, reload main reactor, which means we can now see the item inside, which I cannot, unfortunately, see what that is. I think that is, it is missiles, okay. I thought for a second it might be Seekers, but no. Dark Oasis is, thankfully to these runners, an expansion. Dark Oasis is another quite pain in the backside in cache to collect, because not only do you need Light Suit and Dark Visor, you also have to get the item from Powerbomb Guardian for the in-cache to even trigger. But with Dark Beam in tow, Jagger's next stop looks to be straight on to Dark Aegon to go pick up that Morph Ball system foretold in Battleground. Now, our runners do need to pick up all 3 Dark Aegon keys at some point or another, because they will have to fight a Morbus in order to gain access to Mining Plaza. And we get an energy tank in Doomed Entry, our first one of the seed. And something that, especially after Dark Suit, our runners are going to be very happy to see. Bash also making the quickest of work with Dark Samus. And I believe that is another movement system there in the battleground itself. It is Gravity Boost. Gravity Boost not going to do us any favors here in Aegon, but when we get down to Torvis, it's going to be pretty much mandatory to check a lot of stuff with a lot less difficulty. And with an early, and Chad points out, with early gravity and grapple, an early Torvis play could be in the future for our runners. They do already have Light Beam, Amber Translator, and Space Jump, and Dark Suit. They could make it to Torvis via the intended vanilla entryway. And I have no idea what that Morph Ball system was, because the Power Beam shot was still kind of obscuring it, but it is our Morph Ball bombs. Bombs in the Battleground ink cache, ladies and gentlemen. And somebody called that earlier, too. I don't remember who it was, but somebody definitely called that. Nice guess, Bellator. Yeah, that's pretty rude. Unfortunately, Bash is going to have to double dip this area because he does not have the Dark Visor yet, as he decided to go straight for Dark Samus after getting the hint, instead of going through the front of Command Center and getting the major item. So with Light Beam and Dark Beam in tow, Bash is going to go for Ink Cache 1 first. And just a Power Bomb tank there in Ink Cache 1, so Bash is not going to pick that up. He already has 3 and knows about a 4th, so I don't think our runners are going to be too starved for Power Bombs at this point. Nice little scan dash trick from Bash to get up to the top of Doomed Entry without lowering the platform. There's a couple ways up there. You can either, as Jagger demonstrated, slope jump off of the dead pirate, or you can do what Bash did and use some standable collision and then go to the side. Bash taking the time to ignite these light fields real quick, just so that way they make the Ing a little bit less troublesome. The Ing pathfinding is not exactly brilliant, and they are very likely to just toss themselves into the field of death. And yeah, Chad brings up a good point. For all the progression items we have seen, we have not seen any Aegon keys yet. And again, a Morbus is required this seed. Jagger, meanwhile, demonstrating a bomb space jump here, maneuver here, is trying to get the item here in sand processing without triggering, without boost ball, I should say. A Morbus, we're not sure what he's carrying, but Mining Plaza has a Sky Temple key. So in order to get that item, you must defeat a Morbus and return the Aegon energy, so that way the clouds in Aegon dissipate and the sonic lens flare system from Mining Plaza becomes usable. You then need to return with Echo Visor and Screw Attack. Screw Attack, which you'll at least have to come across anyway because it's mandatory for all seeds. And there is finally, we're mentioning Aegon keys, finally we have an Aegon key here in Sand Processing. And with another bomb space jump, Jagger is going to be able to continue this loop around through the backside of labs. So we are now going to get our look at bioenergy production, which was I should say. Actually, no, bioenergy production actually couldn't have been checked before Dark Beam because the bombs are required to get there. So yeah, both of our runners effectively last location their progression in Storage D. Jagger wasn't even guessing, I don't think. And yeah, Bash sees the Dark Visor. I think he realizes he's done something wrong and is going to go pick that up real quick after triggering the door. He now has to just leave and reload the room, and that door will drop again. Jagger deciding to play sneaky and laying power bombs, and for once not getting snagged by a Metroid in a cutscene. Granted, that's only good for one try. Case in point. Yeah, those Metroids tend to latch onto you in the cutscene a lot. It's a miracle it didn't happen the first time. And is that a ball upgrade up there in bioenergy production? It might be. It certainly looks like a ball upgrade from back here. Unfortunately, we are going to have to leave storage C behind a bit, as we do not have access currently to... we do not currently have access to super missiles. And it is, in fact, the Spider Ball in bioenergy production, locked by bombs and Dark Beam. The Spider Ball is good. Now they both have, they can use the alternate exit to get out of labs. Furthermore, with Spider Ball and Power Bombs, they can get the item in Mining Station A, which I do believe was just missiles. Neither of our runners, I don't believe, have checked Mine Shaft yet, so I would not be surprised to see Jagger head there relatively soon. We're actually kind of out of checks here. Oh, actually, we're not out of checks in Aegon. We can now access... we can go to Dark Aegon now that we've got bombs, and with Spider Ball in tow and Dark Beam, we can also route in Junction Site and in Cache 4. The only item we are not going to be able to pick up in Dark Aegon for the moment is going to be the item in Crossroads, as that is currently locked by Boost Ball. We're also getting our first look at Ventilation Area A here, and with Spider Ball in tow, the Sanctuary Spider side is also currently in Logic. So we can now reach Sanctuary. So, and that does appear that is what Jagger is going to do, is going to take a quick field trip to what is known as the Spider's Treasure here, to check 3 quick items in Hall of Combat Mastery, Hazing Cliff, and Culling Chamber. Given that we just picked up Spider Ball, there is a fairly good chance that there could be progression in here, if not Aegon keys at the very least. And there is something up there in Hall of Combat Mastery, but I can't... Oh, that is Super Missiles! Spider's Treasure living up to its name nice and early here. Jagger trying to get an instant morph onto this Spider Ball track here, but unfortunately keeps bringing up the map by accident, I think. Either that or he's pause buffering. But this is a trick where if you morph right at the appropriate time in your jump, you can morph just right, skip the morphing sequence, which will allow you to use Spider Ball early. Alternatively, you can just do this whole puzzle, Spider Ball puzzle to get the super missiles, but that would be quite annoying, and with the quads there, they can very easily kill you if you're not careful. And they most likely will kill you, because the quad legs do clip through the wall. But Jagger picking up some early supers here. And and is going to check the other 2/3 of Spider's treasure here to see if we are lucky enough to find additional progression. What'd you miss up? A lot. We've had quite a stacked early Aegon play, although a bit of a wonky logic chain for bombs. And a Morbus is required, as we have a Sky Temple key in Mining Plaza. Jagger got a nice double kill on the dark orb creatures, and would appear to be not going for the item in Culling Chamber, so it must be an expansion of some sort. Spider's Treasure, though, going 2 for 3 with an required Aegon key and super missiles. So quite a good play for Jagger. But yeah, so just to recap for a minute, for anybody who might just be coming in, we had quite a stacked early start here. Besides knowing about a Morbus, we've had before even getting to Aegon, we got Space Jump, Dark Suit, and a Grapple Beam. And then inside Aegon, we found quite literally everything else except super missiles. Those were in sync. Unfortunately, Bash triggering the pirate fight and still has the Metroids to deal with as well. So this is going to, he's going to have to be ready to bust out his power bombs. To answer your question, chat, there is a red key in Defiled Shrine in cache there. Which I do not believe... Actually, we do have access to that with super missiles. We may not need it, though. There is another red temple key here in the Aegon energy controller. Jagger missed out on the hint, but a very convenient feature. Oh, it's a joke hint. By this point in your run, you should have consumed at least 200 milliliters of water to maintain optimum hydration. The red key in the Aegon energy controller is an Inghive key, which unfortunately is really kind of just a meme key for our runners, as there are 2 different ways you can circumvent needing the keys for Quadraxis. Number 1 is doing a bomb space jump screw attack to get over the gate itself. Alternatively, you could just go out in the back door using Annihilator Beam, which is very likely to show up, since the only other place it could be that is not Quadraxis locked is Quadraxis himself. Annihilator Beam can't be on Umos because you still need Annihilator Beam to get out of the temple. But it looks like Jagger is going to take his equipment and go to the Dark World and do the early Dark Aegon loop. This is a fairly solid play, definitely just making sure you don't miss out on any checks. You can still look at the item in Crossroads, get a hint here, and this will effectively, besides Storage C, pretty much give us a full clear of Aegon, given that Jagger has already picked up the sand processing item. And it's a hint for Spider Ball. Thanks, game. Now, Bash, in the meantime, has picked up Dark Visor and Morph Ball bombs and is looking to be making his way out of labs. Looks like he's on his way to Spider's Treasure as well. We'll get those super missiles. And a nice feature about this, about the Aegon Portal Terminal, you actually don't need to bomb all 3 of the sand switches, just the last one. Screw Attack also works on it for some reason. Screw Attack works pretty much on everything. Now, after this dip, if we don't dip into Dark Aegon, if we don't find anything else, I would not be surprised to see our runners go to Torvis. They are going to have to go there through the Torvis entrance, as they currently do not have secret missiles to get through either of the other the Aegon elevator or the Torvis Temple elevator. Did not get the best look at what was up there on Crossroads, unfortunately. To answer a question in chat, I like to call this particular area in Sanctuary Hall of Combat Mastery, Hazing Cliff, and Culling Chamber Spider's Treasure, because it's in Sanctuary Spider side. 2 of the 3 checks are locked by Spider Ball, and it seems that, especially in this tournament, 9 out of 10 times it has progression. Especially since you don't need a lot to get to it, just Spider Ball, Power Bombs, and Light Beam, technically. And some way to the elevator, of course. Yeah, the logic tends to place progression right behind the next nearest item it placed. So, for example, if Cobalt Translator is placed, 3 out of the 4 checks that are locked by Cobalt Translator are behind Spider Guardian. The other one is in Sanctuary Map Station. Jagger, meanwhile, not finding anything too particularly crazy so far here in Dark Aegon, and I don't believe it was anything particularly noticeable in Crossroads. Additional dark ammo there in Warrior's Walk. Now, you might notice Jagger shooting a couple of super missiles at what seems to be almost nothing. I will not be stringing you along, and will be happy to enlighten you that there is, in fact, a boss here. Jump Guardian's hitbox is technically loaded, but not graphically visible. So what Jagger is going to do is pump the equivalent of about 1,100 damage into Jump Guardian, excuse me. Sorry, I was talking about Spider Guardian earlier. And doing this actually does damage him down to, at minimum, 1 HP. So a couple more shots later, and 1 jump, because Jump Guardian likes to do that, and down goes Jump Guardian in about a 4-second fight. And I would say that's a bit of an upgrade for Jump Guardian, as Jump Guardian is packing our Screw Attack today. This is actually pretty good news for Jagger, because this puts Sand Canyon into play as well. And yeah, this will we already have the tools to full clear Aegon here. Just a missile and trial tunnel. Unfortunately, the 3rd Aegon key not showing up before Jagger's trip here to the temple. Now, as mentioned previously, we do know there is a red key in Defiled Shrine, and we do have access to that with our current equipment. We do not need Seekers, just Supers. Bash, following suit on the Jump Guardian fight, will be picking up his Screw Attack. Bash is down a red key on Jagger. I do believe that it's the Sand Cache key that Jagger has right now that Bash does not. Sand Processing, excuse me, not Sand Cache. So with Aegon full clear with the exception of Sand Canyon and Storage C, let's see what Jagger decides to do next. He is heading back in the direction of the mining stations. Might be going to check the combination of Mining Plaza and Sand Canyon. And I didn't comment on this earlier, but it looks like it was just a missile so far in Cache 4. So yeah, the Dark Aegon play really only giving Screw Attack, but besides that, well, actually, I would argue Screw Attack is an essential item, so it's still a valuable play, just not much additional value besides that one item. And it does look like Jagger is going to be going to Sand Canyon. He's being very thorough with his checks, especially considering how stacked Aegon was. I'm not surprised by this. Looks like it's just missiles, though, in the Sand Canyon. And Jagger is heading back in the direction of Labs. Will he be going to Storage C, or will he be going to Sanctuary? And it looks like he's going to go to Sanctuary. With Screw Attack, Sanctuary has a lot of checks. Although without Dark Visor and Seeker Missiles, a couple of checks are a little weird. Spider Ball and Grapple, though, does help a lot. And with Screw Attack, we can even cross Watch Station access to go to the Sank Vault side with less difficulty. So Bash is on his way out of Dark Aegon, while Jagger is on his way to Dynamo Works. A couple of hints we can get here, namely the Key Bear hint, which tells us that there's an energy tank in the Hive Dynamo Works and a missile tank in the Dynamo Works tunnel. So Spider Guardian is already 2/3 dead. However, that doesn't necessarily speak volumes, as Spider Guardian himself, we are not going to know what the item is unless we get another Dynamo Works hint for something else. We do not have the equipment to check Airy yet, thankfully, for Jagger, as we do need Boost Ball to be able to get over to the to break the glass. And we'd like to welcome in the folks joining us from SpeedGaming Espanol. You are joining us in the middle of what has been quite a loaded early half of a Metroid Prime 2 Echoes Randomizer 2020 tournament seed. We are in the semifinals today with JaggerG and BashPime facing off in their match in the winners bracket. They are fighting for a spot in the finals at this time. The loser of this match is not out of the tournament, thankfully, so they are not currently fighting for their tournament lives here today. They will be fighting whoever wins the match between Diceron and... gotta check my brackets again. The match between Diceron and Gollop, which will be on Tuesday evening. And I believe that was an energy tank in the Sanctuary Temple access. Unfortunately, without Dark Visor, cannot use the Kinetic Orb Cannon to efficiently take out the quad. But with Screw Attack, manages to traverse the temple without the need of disabling the or triggering the Dark Quads. Sanctuary Energy Controller itself just having an additional 5 missiles, which Jagger is choosing not to pick up. Ammunition management hasn't really been an issue so far for our runners, it seems, despite having only the single power bomb earlier. Finding main power bombs soon after, our runners have ended up being fairly good with ammo. Bash checking mineshaft for us, which is an energy tank, and that is unfortunately as far as we will go because we are still looking out for seeker missiles in order to traverse into mining station B. Jagger trying to get some jump height in order to screw attack up to the top of the Sank Temple access. Unfortunately, having a little bit of trouble here with the res bits pestering him, but manages to get it no problem. Bash electing to skip the Inghive key in Aegon Energy Controller, which will save him a couple of seconds, and gets that joke hint. Watch Station Access having yet another energy tank, so our runners are now pretty safe on energy tanks. If you're the caliber of these runners, 3 energy tanks Dark Suit is actually enough for final bosses even. Jagger taking advantage of the frozen resbit to stand on the spider ball track here in Watch Station itself, performing the instant morph to get into the bomb slot with pretty flawless execution. And this will allow him to both open the portal and check the item in Watch Station without having to double dip the spider ball puzzle. And with Screw Attack in tow, Aerial Training Site, the Dark Watch Station, has 2 items already for us. And we get an Echo Visor in Watch Station. This is really good for Sanctuary. So we have had plenty of progression so far, but of interest, we have only seen, or we only know about one Sky Temple key, and that is the one that is on not Quadraxis, on Mining Plaza. Sorry, we are right next to Quadraxis, so you would forgive me for thinking about that. We do see that it is a red key in the other item in Aerial Training Site. What Jagger is going to do here is he's going to screw attack to the top of the force field. As it turns out, there is some standable area of the ledge where the force field does not reach. Jagger will stand on that and take advantage of very small gaps in the force field to scan the shutdown terminal, like so. And it is a vanilla Inghive key, if I'm not mistaken. Bash, on the other hand, has save warp to return to the ship. It'll be interesting to see where he goes next. He's going to check Plane of Dark Warship first, I would wager. And Jagger, meanwhile, is going to make his way to Vault. We cannot do Sanctuary entrance yet at this time, as we are still looking for Boost Ball in order to... That looks important there in Plane of Dark Worship. That appears to be a Sky Temple key. We cannot do Sank entrance, however, without Boost Ball, so if Bash does go all the way to GFMC, he will not be able to go any further. But that is our first acquired Sky Temple key of the board for this afternoon. Jagger trying to demonstrate some swag here by doing a roll jump screw attack here. You are considered grounded for the first 2/5 of a second after leaving the ground in Morph Ball form, which will allow you, if performing an instant unmorph successfully, this will allow you to pull off a jump. JaggerG now checking Cat West for another Sky Temple key. Both runners now even on Sky Temple keys, with another one here in main research. Wow, now the game just suddenly wants to hand our runner Sky Temple keys left and right. Interesting. Watch there be another one here in Transit Station. Doesn't look like it, though. Looks like it was an expansion. Jagger's not going for it. Bash, meanwhile, is electing to go down Temple Transport Amber to take the path to Torvis here. And there's another Sky Temple key in main reactor core. So 3 Sky Temple keys back to back here in the vault side of Sanctuary. So we've had a quite loaded Aegon and a quite loaded Sanctuary, all things considering. And we know that there is a Dark Torvus key in Putrid Alcove thanks to that hint. Torvus key's not necessarily on the forefront of our runner's mind at the moment, as we do not know if Chica is required. Jagger is going to go ahead and trigger the quad fight here, so that way the door opens permanently. And there is another red temple key in Inghive, which has technically already been satisfied courtesy of the Inghive key picked up from Aerial Training Site. So unless it is referring to another key, it's probably the one in Aerial Training Site. Jagger showing off that Screw Attack is also effective on quads during their tornado attack. And we're getting a Grand Wind Chamber check here from BashPime, but it appears to be just a missile, if not some other form of not helpful expansion. But this will be the end of JaggerG's Sanctuary play, and he'll be heading back to Temple Grounds, most likely to follow in Bash's footsteps and do the remaining Temple Ground checks. Looks like Bash is going to take a quick detour here and route into GFMC compound to pick up the item on top of the GFS tier. Jagger, meanwhile, is actually taking an alternate route here and is electing to go towards the Torvus Quadrant from the ship. And that is definitely important. That is our boost ball on the ship, locked by Jump Guardian. So that does now put Sank Entrance into play. We have found an amazing amount of progression items. We're Seeker Missiles short of, and Emerald Translator short away from being able to full clear Torvus. Save for the light suit checks. Jagger has switched over to the Dark World here. He is Seeker Missiles will not allow him to check hints. He may be going for the red temple key in Defiled Shrine, gambling that it is in fact the third Aegon key. And with Echo Visor and Screw Attack in tow, the Mining Plaza key is now in play. Now, there is some trickery you can do to get to the Sky Temple key hints without Seeker Missiles. But we'll see what Jagger decides to do here. And indeed, he is going for Defiled Shrine. This play does make a lot of sense. Just in case, get this out of your way now. But it is a Torvus key, so not the key that we are looking for, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Bash has arrived at Poison Bog, which is another red temple key, or Torvus Lagoon, and has been informed that there is a red temple key in Poison Bog. So another red temple key locked by an ink cache, but that is Annihilator Beam in the Torvus Lagoon. So the Torvus play paying out for Bash as well. Both of our runners have had pretty good, have made some separate route divergence, both finding very useful items. Annihilator Beam, while not strictly that useful for Torvus, does still help with mitigating ing issues in the Dark World. Bash is now going to attempt a bomb space jump in order to get up to the Great Bridge here without going all the way around through the Forgotten Bridge and the abandoned work site. Unfortunately, has to deal with the Screamer plants real quick first. I call them that because holy cow are they loud. Unfortunately, Bash misaiming his power bomb just a little bit, and unfortunately, power bombs do take walls into account. And there's the Emerald Translator in the Great Bridge, yet another critical key for clearing out Torvis. And with Grapple Beam in tow, getting to the abandoned worksite item is Child's Play. And he's going to be picking up an energy tank for his trouble. So both of our runners now running 3 E-Tanks Dark Suit. They both, I would imagine, feel pretty safe at this point, traversing any Dark World, extended Dark World dives. Jagger's picking up the boost ball, and we'll see if he decides to push this to Sanctuary entrance really quick, which is now in play courtesy of that boost ball. Not quite sure what that is, and Jagger getting the storage D hint. Thanks, game. Unfortunately, Bash not quite getting the double kill on the Arrow Troopers as the Dark Beam charge hit a little after the second Trooper took off. Didn't quite have the time to reach. And Jagger is in fact going for the Sanctuary entrance play. And it is in fact just missiles in the Torvis Temple. Bash making quick work of these commando pirates here in the Sanctuary entrance, and Bash learning about the Echo Visor and Watch Station, so things Jagger has picked up so far, Bash has been getting lucky hints for. I've noticed. First with the Dark Beam, now here with the Echo Visor. Unfortunately, Jagger not getting some very good drop luck with Dark Beam and is now out of ammunition. But is going to get a very nice refill with the help of the exploding nanobots here. And Bash is going to quickly backtrack to Path of Roots to check for another hint. To see about the aerial training site key. Jagger not even bothering with power bombs here to break the switch open. Unfortunately, you do still have to flip the switch to trigger the kinetic, to trigger the Vigilance class turret. Just an energy tank there in Portal Chamber. Jagger trying to use the overpowered nature of the Vigilance class turret to get a kill on those pirates. Not quite sure what that is in Sank entrance, but Jagger is heading in the direction of the Spider Ball track, so he may be going for it. Dark ammo tank in Ooh, Seeker missiles in Sanctuary entrance. Very good play for JaggerG. This means that on his way back to Torvis, he will be able to check Sky Temple key hints. Ooh, Sank entrance. That's going to be a tough one for Bash to get back to. Because Sank entrance, for the most part, if you've done Sank already, it's a one-off check. Not much going on here in Torvis Grove. And Bash saying in the SRL, the seed has been so jank, and it has been kind of crazy. It should also be noted that Bash did check the hint in Underground Tunnel and found that Umos's reward for returning the Sanctuary energy is just a power bomb tank, so no need to fight Quadraxis, at least for that. BashPime exchanging a little high five there with a couple of the Crocus. Jagger being very careful to not accidentally faceplant into those Phazon canisters, as those do 80 damage per detonated canister. Suffice it to say, it hurts. A lot. Phazon Grounds not having anything of significant value. Profane Path on Jagger's end, however, is going to have to be left behind until he picks up that Annihilator Beam in Torvus Lagoon. BashPime on his way to Putrid Alcove to pick up another red temple key. I believe we already know this is a Torvus key. Yes, indeed we do. Which I do believe... I do believe that is actually all three of our Torvus keys. I remember Jagger picking up... Did he pick up two, or did he only pick up one? I'll know when he next when he checks like his map for Torvus. It is only one for Jagger. Okay, so there is one Torvus key that is still unknown. Venomous Pond only having a Dark Tank, and Bash going to make the way to Cache B. Gonna have to leave Cache A behind since he does not have Secret Missiles, rather, from Sanctuary Entrance. And Cache B has our second suit, which is actually really good news for Bash because he can now get the red temple key in Poison Bog, which I would actually wager is exactly where he's going. Because this red temple key also could be our last, our third Aegon key. There aren't that many red keys left suddenly. Now, is this a Aegon key or a Torvus key? It is a Torvus key, so Chica is in play. Now, we do not know if Chica is required yet, as we have not seen what is a guaranteed Chica hint somewhere in the hint pool. There are a grand total of, I want to say, 22 Lumineth hint terminals across the land. 3 of them have guaranteed hints for what will be on all 3 of the major Temple Guardians, plus another one for the Umos reward. We have only seen one of those 4 hints. With Emerald Translator and Super Missiles in tow, Bash is most likely going to, after this Boost Guardian play, I should point out, make his way to Lower Torvus, where there are 3 additional Emerald hints on available for pickup. Jagger, on the other hand, is going to go ahead and determine our remaining Sky Temple keys for this afternoon. Now, 6 are left on his to-do list, one of which we know already is in Mining Plaza. Plane of Dark Worship we know already as well. A Cursed Lake we also know of. Cache A is a Sky Temple key. Mining Plaza we know. And Feeding Pit, which is like suit locked. I believe we are literally just looking for an Aegon. Oh, and Under Temple. I believe at this time we are literally just looking for that last Aegon key. As far as audience no mode. So for Jagger's shopping list, Annihilator Beam isn't even required this seed. Interesting. So for Bash's remaining to-do list, he just needs to go to Sank Entrance for those Seekers and pick up the Echo Visor in in Watch Station. And find, of course, that third Aegon key that's lying about. And go back to Sand Processing for the one hiding there. And the thing is, Boost Guardian had Sonic Boom. Well, there are no energy transfer modules in the tournament settings, so the Sonic Boom is going to be the closest thing to a meme we get for this seed. So yeah, that remaining Aegon key could quite literally be anywhere right now, as we pretty much we could pretty much full clear the whole game with the exception of Cobalt lock checks. We're getting a Hall of Honor dead check from Jagger, which is not important, so he's noping right out. Bash taking those super missiles and making the dip to lower Torvis. So yeah, pretty much the only thing as far as the audience at home is concerned that we cannot clear right now is Spider Guardian himself and Sanctuary Map Station. We see that dungeon is an expansion. And we see there is a red temple key in Dark Torvis Temple. And I would like to remind the audience, we have knowledge of all three keys. Chica is in play, and we also, it is a 50-50 shot if that is an Aegon key. Because we already have two Inghive keys as well. So we could end up having a rather rare occurrence in the seed where Chica is required. In the tournament, rather, I should say. Chica has surprisingly not made that many appearances in the Echoes tournament, especially in the brackets. So this will actually be Chica's first appearance. Looks like Bash is going to get this red key that is in Gathering Hall, so this is another 50-50 shot. So if this is an Inghive key, Bash doesn't know this yet, but if this is an Inghive key, Chica is required. Amorbus is dead, by the way, but at this point, we pretty much knew we had to fight him anyway. Amorbus is going to be dead one way or another. Jagger going to get the Accursed Lake Sky Temple key in the meantime. And I just noticed Torvis Bog has really been the sea of energy, a sea of energy tanks, as Bash is now running 6 energy tanks. And it is an Inghive key. Ladies and gentlemen, Chica is required for our final Dark Aegon key. Bash going to show us a little bit of out-of-bounds trickery here in order to try and quickly pick up the item here in Transit Tunnel South. He's going to do a screw attack to get into this Morph Ball tunnel because screw attack, for whatever reason, shrinks you to the size of a Morph Ball, allowing you to squeeze just into that tunnel. Now, it seems what Jagger is doing is heading back to Aegon in order to perform the to get the remaining items necessary there. He is going to go check Feeding Pit. THK enlightening myself as well as the folks at home that screw attack is a Morph Ball, in fact. So if Morph Ball is out of your inventory, you can't screw attack. That I did not know. You learn something new every day, folks, as the saying goes. And yeah, Bash just decided, yeah, this is not working out as well as I'd like. I'm just going to go ahead and do this as intended. Screw attacking and going out of bounds in that tunnel is faster, especially considering this puzzle does take a minute. So ladies and gentlemen, just at about the 114 mark, we are in no mode. So going back on our sort of shopping list here, Jagger does have to go back to Torvis to go get the Annihilator. He actually doesn't need to get Annihilator, but he does need to go get the Light Suit in Cache B, as well as the other two Torvis keys. While Bash, on the other hand, has to get the other Torvis key, which is in Defiled Shrine, the Echo Visor in Watch Station, and the Seeker Missiles from Sank Entrance, and the Aegon key that is in Sand Processing. So both of them actually have very small shopping lists at this point. However, they do not know that that is how small their shopping lists are. Bash must have not liked what was in Transit Tunnel East there, and a really important item can be found at Transmission Ends. And Quadraxis is guarding a missile tank. So Bash has now seen two of the boss hints, neither of which are the bosses he really needs to know about right now. Bash electing not to take the Sanctuary Vault Side elevator, which would... Sank Vault Side right now is definitely the best direction for Bash to take right now in order to get that Echo Visor out of Watch Station. Unfortunately, Sank Entrance is still on his to-do list as well, so that is going to be quite the venture. And Bash is going to head in the direction of Dark Torvis. So he's going to check Under Transit 1. I don't know if he's going to check Grapple Guardian. He is, however, going to demonstrate that this crystal is vulnerable to Screw Attack for some reason. He's aiming a little on the low side. I find you have to aim a little higher up, but he does get it. So this is a nice quick check of Under Transit 1 without having to go all the way through the dungeon and Under Transit 2. Unfortunately, we do know that at this point there really isn't much that Bash could find that would aid him in his quest. Same for Jagger, for that matter. He's going to go check Storage C here, but we do know that this is not our progression. So there are definitely less items on Jagger's to-do list than there are on Bash's. And Jagger actually did not have Light Suit during that dive back to Aegon and hasn't found anything, so he's once again hard resetting in order to zip back to his previous save. And it looks like Bash's next stop is Hydro Chamber Storage. He's not going to find anything of note down here. But once he gets to Under Temple, he will get that Sky Temple key. Now, with Bash having Light Suit, hopefully Fortress Transport Access comes to his mind, which might lead him to Sank Entrance a little further. Jagger, meanwhile, has reached Torvis via the Aegon elevator. And his first stop is going to be South Torvis, which will give him his Annihilator Beam. Now, one nice thing is Bash does know about Echo Visor, because there was a hint for it. He does not, however, know about Seeker missiles, and we have now seen all of the hints in Torvis. So we've now seen all of the hints that we have available to us, except for the one that is locked by Cobalt. And it's a dark ammo tank, and Bash is not going for Powerbomb Guardian. He does not know about the Undertemple key yet. He is going to feel bad when he checks his hints. Ooh, Jagger managed to get a nice delayed screw attack there to get out, to get through Great Bridge quickly. He's going to be picking up his Emerald Translator right now. BashPime taking the massive ammunition refill from the fish. And that's the aerial training site key hint that Jagger already picked up. Thanks, game, in his case. All right, so Jagger's picked up Annihilator and Emerald, so this will allow, this will definitely make life easy. And it looks like Bash is actually taking the elevator here to Sanctuary Vault side, which is going to net him his Echo Visor eventually, because he knows that he knows where that is. However, unfortunately, with Seeker missiles in Sank entrance, yeah, he's going to be leaving those behind unless a Cobalt hint just so happens to show up. Although I don't believe we've seen Cobalt Translator, and there's not a lot of places it could be now that we've seen a lot of Sank. And that's the Echo Visor hint for Jagger. Thanks again, game. Sees that Sky Temple key in main research. Now, if Bash wants to get to Cat West, he is either going to have to go all the way around Sanctuary, or he is going to have to... another way is with Screw Attack and Echo Visor. Well, actually, he does not have Echo Visor, so he would have to fight the or he can't even fight the Caretaker drone without Echo. So he will have to go all the way around Sanctuary, which is going to net him 2 additional Sky Temple keys, as well as eventually the Echo Visor. Bash demonstrating a triple bomb jump method to reach the magnetic track in the magnetic orb in main in reactor core, I should say. I'm trying to remember where the remaining 2, where the Torvis Keys Jagger is still missing are. I know one of them is in Poison Bog. I just can't remember where the other is off the top of my head. He does need to pick both of those keys up, though. Putrid Alcove. Thank you, Bellator. So yeah, once Jagger makes the Dark Aegon sweep, And in fact, given he knows already that about two Inghive keys, it'll be interesting to see whether he goes down to lower Torvis first or goes to Chica after picking up Light Suit. If he goes to Chica after picking up Light Suit, this will be best case scenario for him because it's actually going to put him in go mode. Meanwhile, Jagger checking out the Torvis Plaza neighborhood. Bash could not check this, or elected to not check this earlier, despite picking up Emerald Translator in the bridge. Bash making quick work, or I should say Jagger rather, making quick, trying to make quick work of the Torvis Plaza, but unfortunately misboosted just a little bit. This the boost onto this terrain here, this little strut can be a little finicky. Sometimes the boost takes you either too far left or right. But it is just yet another energy tank, so again, kind of lending credence to Torvis being the bog of E-tanks. Yeah, both of the at both points where the left side spider track points upward, you can boost off either. I think it's just a matter of preference. Bash is electing to try to do the bomb space jump method to get up to the watch station spider ball track. Does succeed. And this will net him his Echo Visor. And that is Jagger's second Torvis key, third of which is coming right up here in Poison Bog. And I do believe the Chica hint is in lower Torvis. So I would wager Jagger's going to get that first before ever going to Chica. Typically, runners would not gamble Chica. Also, Jagger needs to nail this shot, and he does. Bash, meanwhile, has picked up Echo Visor and is now going to head to Aerial Training Site and see the Inghive key. Although he may elect to skip it, since he knows it's Inghive, and he's got Annihilator Beam anyway, so Quad would be in logic without it. Bash trying to do a slope jump screw attack to kind of skip an extra jump here in the screw attack wall chain. And JaggerG about to get his light suit, which will hopefully push him back to Poison Bog, although I don't remember if he saw the Key Bear hint. I do believe he did. He's actually checking it real quick right now. Yeah, given he knows he needs that last Aegon key, he's going to go for it, and then he's going to be terrified because he actually is under that 50-50 chance right now of that last, with the knowledge he knows, of Chica having that last key. So if he decides to go to Chica right after picking up the Poison Bog key, it will be a gamble. A worthy gamble, as we know, but a gamble nonetheless. And Jagger wasting no time getting down to the bog. And at this point, with the third Inghive key that Bash knows about, as Chad points, as Bellator, our tracker, points out, we do now, he should know by now that Chica is hard required. Unfortunately, the other Torvis key is all the way back in Sky Temple grounds. And it looks like Jagger's first port of call here is going to be to go check Boost Guardian. And yes, Bash missed the key in the Aegon energy controller, or he didn't pick it up knowing that it was an Hive key. And Jagger nailing the power bomb to quickly defeat Bomb Guardian, Guardians, Boost Guardian for Sonic Boom. Bash going to go ahead and check Sentinel's path here before making his way to the Torvis, the Sanctuary energy controller. Getting my locations all mixed up now. For the Sunburst, but he's electing to... Oh, he's going to pick it up. Sunburst does have its uses, especially against Grapple Guardian and Emperor Ing 1. And considering it's right along the way, it's not quite the time sink to pick it up, especially since there's no item fanfares. And there's the Dark Burst in Abandoned Worksite, so that is all of our missile combos. Or not Abandoned Worksite, Forgotten Bridge, excuse me. So yeah, pretty much literally the only thing missing on our trackers that won't be lit up today if we don't find it is Cobalt. There is a fairly significant, and as Bellator points out, there is a significant chance Cobalt is locking itself. That can happen. We actually had one of the races in the losers bracket where power bombs were locked in Putrid main power bombs specifically were locked in Putrid Alcove, meaning that they were not expected to be used this seed, according to the game logic. Bash also trying to do the bomb space jump to get out, but having a little bit of trouble. Still does not have secret missiles, so cannot activate the the kinetic orb cannon. And Jagger is about to learn about the Amorbus hint. And Jagger about to see that this this key is an Inghive key, which when he picks it up, he's going to see that Chica does in fact have that last key. Jagger trying to be a little fancy with the puzzle. Bash also was doing some fancy screw attack and other manipulative strats to skip this particular bomb slot. Bash having a little trouble getting out, so he's going to have to go the long way through aerial training, not aerial training site, through Watch Station. Jagger also showing that it is possible to slope jump up to this laser port. It is surprisingly has some points where it is not dangerous to stand on, and it allows you to effectively skip. More importantly, it allows you to stand on it, which he's probably trying to do in order to not have to powerbomb the tank down below, like so. Honestly, for a split second, I thought that wasn't possible in the light world, and it might be just one of those dark world things. But Jagger has proved us all wrong here. And yep, that's the hint, Jagger. You gotta fight Chica for that last Amorbus key. Well, actually, he does not know that yet. He's going to find out in a second, but he doesn't know that yet. And yeah, Bash is just checking his key count real quick to see what his story is. He still doesn't know about the sand processing key. I actually didn't see what was here in Transit Tunnel South. Bash never picked it up, but now Jagger's going to allow us to get give me a proper look, and it is just 5 missiles. And that's the hint. He's basically in no mode. Now, what he should be doing is dropping everything and going straight to fighting Chica. But what he's going to do real quick is he's going to warp here to the Dark World via the Dark Portal to Dungeon, which is convenient. Conveniently, there's some collision where if you bonk there, you bonk into the portal. Bash is going to check Airy. And this is a ginormous waste of time, unfortunately, from our point of view. Bash demonstrating that Dark Samus is in fact weak to screw attack. And it looks like missiles in Airy. Here's another fun fact. Dark Samus, as a creature of the Light World for her Phase 2, is weak to Dark Beam, double weak to Dark Beam. She actually can be very heavily damaged by Dark Burst. Unfortunately, Bash's ammo is a little low right now, but with one good tickle, Dark Samus 2 should go down. Interestingly, Jagger decided to not go straight to Undertemple to fight Powerbomb Guardian. He probably wants to gamble that the other half, the key is in the other half, and he doesn't have to fight him, which, if it is, would be faster than fighting Powerbomb Guardian, because Powerbomb Guardian is not really a fight you could speed up. There's no cheese, no way you can cheese that fight. I'm surprised he checked Hydro Dynamo storage, Hydro Chamber storage, given the circumstances. And it was indeed 5 missiles. And something about the doors locking themselves, but it looks like Bash got around that no problem. A little fun fact for the folks who may not be familiar with this Powerbomb Guardian fight: with precision, leading Powerbomb Guardian shot with good precision, it is actually possible to have Powerbomb Guardian open this upper door for you to get out of Undertemple without needing power bombs yourself. Bash going to go ahead and destroy the gyro here for another cheeseburger. Jagger has made very quick work of Powerbomb Guardian. I literally looked away for less than a minute and he's already dead, so... Jagger's going to get this 7th STK. He knows that there is one in Feeding Pit and Mining Plaza are the last 2 on his list. So with this, it is now just a bout with Chica and then a trip to Aegon. Jagger's going to have to unfortunately take the long way out here since he doesn't have a power bomb. Bash, meanwhile, is heading back in the direction of Aegon. And Jagger is saying somebody set us up a Plando in the SRL chat. Given how trolly this endgame ended up being, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not surprised he thinks that. Because all things considering, the seed gave us everything pretty darn early. What did we end up finding later on? Later on, we found... After Aegon, the only thing we had left to technically required find was Seekers, Light Suit, and Echo Visor. That was it. And of course, the keys. Actually, did Jagger get the Plane of Dark Worship key? I can't remember, actually. I think he did. Either way, Plane of Dark Worship isn't that far away from a save warp. Bash is now going for sand processing, so he is going to get that second Aegon key now. And Jagger is not immediately... oh, he didn't open up the... No, he did open up the way to Undertemple from the Dark World. So I'm puzzled as to why he's not staying in the Light World and heading to Chica from the upstairs, by going upstairs. Oh, he didn't open up Undertemple. Never mind. That explains a lot, actually. I must have been thinking it was Bash who opened up the correct path to Undertemple. But Bash is going to go ahead and he's going to check Feeding Pit and probably in Cache 2. Feeding Pit, which we know is one of the SDKs, but Feeding Pit, or Encache 2 rather, we know isn't going to have anything good. Unfortunately, this is going to leave a Morbus behind for a while because that last Torvus key that Bash is looking for is in Defiled Shrine. So he unfortunately has to do quite a bit of work now to finish this up. While Jagger is currently in go mode, we will see if Bash manages to piece everything together right before the piece together things and enter go mode in due time. That and Bash needs to go to Sank Entrance. Yes, THK, that is where the last Torvus key is located, Defiled Shrine. We thought at first it was going to be an Aegon key because it was hinted at fairly early that it was a red key, or we got to the key bearer quickly. But yeah, Jagger's now going to just toss himself over to Chica and finish her off. Unfortunately, the Cannonball item is not present in the seed, so we will not be seeing the super quick kill strat. And Jagger, seeing that Dark Ammo is going to pick it up. Dark Ammo is actually quite important for the Chica fight. especially since Light Chica is fairly vulnerable to Dark Beam. Or I should say Dark Beam does the best DPS on him. I think Annihilator might be a little faster, but you have to spam it, and you need light ammo for Chica Adult later, and Dark Beam is generally pretty efficient. Thanks for the Inghive key hint, game. Yeah, because we totally want to go fight Quadraxis right now. What has been quite interesting about this seed as we're starting our Chica fight here is that both runners have made routing changes, route divergences in the during the middle of the seed that have worked out in their favor. Bash deciding to go to Torvus early did get him earlier Annihilator and Light Suit, while Jagger going to Sank early, Spider's Treasure early gave him early supers. And pushed him towards that Torvus key earlier. At the same time, Jagger also decided to go for Sank entrance to get the Seekers. Jagger deciding to show off the Sonic Boom a little bit here in order to get some extra damage on Chica. And we would like to welcome the folks coming in from SpeedGaming Portuguese. Welcome to the semifinals of the Metroid Prime 2 Echoes Randomizer 2020 tournament. We are currently kind of winding down a little bit. A winner's bracket match between JaggerG and BashPime. Jagger has semi-recently entered Go mode. Is fighting Chica for the last Dark Aegon key, which is required this seed, as there is a Sky Temple key in Mining Plaza. And Jagger sniping Chica with a charged Dark Shot, best form of attack on her. Unfortunately, it appears Jagger has caused the music to glitch out. I'm more familiar with this happening for Grapple Guardian, not so much for Chica. Nice lucky stun there. Seeker Missiles also cooperated with him fairly nicely. Now, with Light Beam as low as it is right now, Jagger's going to have to wait for the Chicklings to farm up some ammunition. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem that the Chicklings... oh, there's a 30 drop. Yeah, at this point, this is where Annihilator really shines forth, because Annihilator Beam can just take out most of the Chicklings at once, give you tons of ammunition. And right now, Dark Beam is definitely a priority, because, yeah, Chica Adult Phase 2 in particular is quite difficult to take out without... quite difficult to take out even with Dark Beam. Just for the fact that in Phase 2, she takes a little more time to stun than a simple charge. Bash, meanwhile, is going for the Defiled Shrine key, which will give him Chica access. And there is enough Light Beam in Jagger's clip right now to finish this off. And down goes Chica for Dark Aegon Key 3. Ladies and gentlemen, JaggerG has entered Go mode at 149.25. Technically, he got entered that as soon as he found out Chica had the red key. So... technically earlier. As far as picking up the items he needs, he's got them now. Bash getting a little bullied there by Dark Pirates, but gets around him nicely. Right, Bash is making his way to Grand Wind Chamber, and will probably check Fortress Transport access. I would wager this is going to also take him to Sank Entrance for those Seeker missiles. At this time, Jagger needs to go to Aegon and get defeat a Morbus, return the Aegon energy, get the Mining Plaza key, and also pick up the key that is in Feeding Pit. So I think he's going to take the Torvus elevator to Aegon, because that would put him fairly close to a Morbus through the Crossroads portal. And Bash is, in fact, making the trip to Sank Entrance, which will net him his Seeker missiles and will put him in go mode because he does know about that red key on Chica. Unfortunately, though, this is probably going to be a little too little too late, unfortunately, for Bash, as he still has a lot more on his shopping cart list in terms of other Sky Temple keys. Bash demonstrating that while the Pirate Commando shields are up, if you just deliver a shot at their feet, the freezing effect will still apply. And that's really all that matters when it comes to commandos. Light and dark, to be honest. Bash is reloading Sank Entrance now to change the layer because, yeah, you have to clear the Commando Pirates and then reload the room to spawn the hologram for the Vigilance turret. And yep, they're the Seekers. And he realizes he's got to shut down the rest of that debris. It is a brutal check, but to be fair, the boost ball was on the ship on the GFS tier, which was the last key needed to put Sank Entrance into play. Bash having a little trouble nailing this screw attack. Decides to just destroy the debris on the right instead. We'll see if Jagger tries to go for the worm skip here. In Phase 2, it is possible to defeat both worms in their dark forms simultaneously by allowing them to both enter their suction phase and taking out both of them before the second worm before the first worm completes burrowing again. If that is done successfully, you do not have to fight the third worm. Jagger gets the first one. We'll see if he can boost into the second one in time. And he succeeds. So the quick kill is now set up. So he'll only have to fight 2 worms in this phase, and upon completing this phase correctly, the boss will just end. However, he does need to make sure that he does not perform this specific skip again, because if he performs the worm skip a second time, it will actually soft lock the fight. Jagger electing to go with super missile strats instead of light beam strats. Light beam does have a faster fire rate, charge light specifically, compared to super missiles, but both have the same effect. And down goes a Morbus for Jagger. I think a Morbus himself only had an energy tank. Yeah, just an energy tank. But Jagger now has to go and return the Aegon energy in order to trigger the satellites, satellite dishes needed to unlock the mining plaza. Now, Bash is most likely running back to go check his Sky Temple key hints right now, and will discover that he is in go mode, knowing about the Chica key. Yeah, so we will not be seeing Cobalt Translator today, unfortunately, but look at those trackers. Still pretty well lit up today. Jagger is going to just quickly route in the feeding pit Sky Temple key before returning the Aegon energy. Not a bad idea. Ooh, Bash missing the last Seeker's Lock. Gonna have to burn a little extra ammo. And, oh, Bash apparently has 5 SDKs. So, Curse Lake Bash knows about. Cache A, he had to pass earlier because no Seekers. Under Temple, he skipped because he only checked the first check, and Mining Plaza. So that's his keys. He now knows he's in go mode, although he's probably kicking himself a little bit for not fighting Powerbomb Guardian when he had the chance. Still, though, again, please give both of these runners a follow if you have not already, because they are both excellent Prime 2 randomizer runners and Prime runners in general. They both have put on an amazing show for you here today, especially the early and mid game. Things really started amping up. And both of our runners have been doing pretty good jobs. And that is the Aegon energy restored for Jagger. So next stop is Mining Plaza and the last Sky Temple key. I'm curious whether it'd be faster to save warp. It probably is faster to save warp to the ship even then, because Mining Plaza is right next to the save station. Boost Ball deciding the one time it doesn't want to work on the glass gate and slow Jagger down a little. So it looks like Bash's first stop is to go straight back to Under Temple to pick up the Powerbomb Guardian key. And one thing I actually noticed is that there is quite a stark difference in the missile count between both of our and the power bomb count between both of our runners. While they both have a fairly similar number of energy tanks, Bash is running with 90 missiles and Jagger is only running with 50. Really goes to show how confident Jagger is that he really doesn't need all the extra ammo and wants to take every second he can get. And 4 power bombs is still more than enough to deal with Emperor 2. Under ideal circumstances, you'll only need 3. All right, Powerbomb Guardian goes down, and Bash picks up his 6th key. I think he boosted a little too high. Yeah, he's trying to be a little fancy, but physics are just saying nope. Bash going to have a lot less trouble getting out compared to Jagger this time, though. And Jagger wasting no time, doesn't need the ammo, doesn't need the health, is just going to go straight to Emperor Ing. If you do not come here with a full clip of ammunition, what you can do is the Ingworm spheres are guaranteed to drop either 10 missiles or a power bomb, depending on which of the two you're still not full on first. Jagger likes to go with the Annihilator spam strats. You can get about 8 shots per second out, and Annihilator does do 12 damage per shot, so it does a lot of damage. Gets the phase 1, no problem. And managed to get an ideal first power bomb. Unfortunately, the Ingoop not exactly cooperating with him here. Missed a couple of tentacles. But third power bomb down. That should be Emperor 2 down for Jagger. So now it is off to Emperor 3. And as we have seen throughout the entirety of this tournament, Jagger will be screwing attacking into Emperor Ing's Achilles' heels, quite literally. The reason being is that he has a sort of an old programming snafu from his previous iterations where there were meant to be shields on his the tips of his legs that are weak to screw attack. They were never removed in the GameCube version. Therefore, you can screw attack him. Down goes Emperor 3. 36 damage per frame is a lot of damage, after all. And it's now just to the escape and the fight with Dark Samus 3 and possibly 4. What we will see here now is Jagger attempt the Dark Samus 4 skip. After hitting her with 25 Annihilator and 1 Power Beam shot, so that's 25 times 12, roughly... You know what, I'll do the math later. The point being is, with just enough damage, it makes Dark Samus vulnerable to prevents her, I should say, from going to Dark Samus 4. But when Dark Samus 4 cloaks here, Jagger will try to be using Screw Attack and using missiles to keep her from centering and throwing up her shield. And it looks like Jagger's actually not using Screw Attack. He's using Dark Beam strats, which is quite effective. And down goes Dark Samus 4. Ladies and gentlemen, get your GGs in chat for JaggerG, who has finished in first place with an official SRL time of, if I can find it, 2:05:45 is JaggerG's finishing time, and BashPime has forfeited from the race. So, ladies and gentlemen, get your GGs in chat for both of our runners, because they have both put on an amazing show for you here this afternoon. And we are joined up here in the booth by both of our runners.
GGs.
So why don't we start out with that treasure trove of items you picked up through the beginning of Temple Grounds in Aegon, shall we?
I thought I was like making all the right plays, even with my mistakes in the beginning with light beam and stuff.
I wasn't so sure. I was about to go YOLO vanilla dark beam. I was staring through the light beam door, and I was like, nah. And I went back and checked.
I did
Dark
the same
Missile
thing.
Trooper and whatnot.
I ended up finding the hint through.
We both said before the match, let's hope we don't soft lock again.
Well, luckily, neither of you did.
And then lock and get vanilla dark beam.
I think that was actually for both of you the last possible check you could get before Dark.
I hope so.
My problem was I just never went Sank Entrance, and then I got Seekers very late.
Yeah, Sank Entrance was pretty rude. Although,
what decided the race? Out of curiosity,
it might have been that.
Because I pulled through a lot, but damn, I'm disappointed. I feel like that was my race to lose.
Yeah, both of you ended up picking up. So I imagine both of you started raising eyebrows when you realized Chica might have that last Aegon key.
I knew that, and then I forgot about the Defiled Shrine key, and then I got that Ink Hive came like, well, I still need to find Seekers, so I'm not too worried.
The other thing is, Jagger actually got the sand processing key earlier.
Oh yeah,
than
that did
sure
it.
because of the BSJ the BSJ method.
So
it came in handy.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, Screw Attack. Yeah.
I didn't have Screw Attack at the time.
Yeah, this was before Screw. You can just stand on some of the turret debris after the BSJ.
I think this is proof that Jagger is just underseeded. He's beaten everyone in winners. I really can't believe. I actually cannot believe it.
Yeah, this the way this is going, the remaining matchups are going to be quite interesting. So Jagger, you have punched your ticket to the finals.
Yeah,
you will be facing
the winner,
whoever is the winner of BashPime, and whoever wins the DCR Gollop match in on Tuesday.
Right.
That match will be at 8 p.m. Tuesday evening, I should say.
Real excited for that one too.
And so this actually almost ended up being a full Tracker C. The only thing both of you are missing out on is Cobalt.
And Sunburst. Did you get Sunburst?
I did for Emperoring, but I never went there because it was in Sentinel's Path.
Yeah, it was kind of rude.
I went to Sank before Torvis, so I actually got Echo Visor and then got Annihilator and my hint for Go Mode and Torvis.
Actually, after the Aegon plays, you both actually did split for a bit. Jagger, you elected to go to Sank Spider and then do the loop around to Reactor Core to get the three back-to-back Sky Temple keys there. Bash went to Torvis and got Annihilator and Light Suit and the the Chica hint. So you were both actually making some really interesting divergence plays up until the realization about seeker missiles, and they were both playing out really well.
I never found the hint for it. I'm guessing it was on Cobalt, and Cobalt was on like Spider Guardian or something stupid because
yeah, there's
I never found it.
Me neither.
Yeah, we have no idea where Cobalt is.
I'm glad I found that quad hint because I'm like, okay, I found these keys. Is he required? Or it's not required. Okay. Yeah, I promise I full cleared too much. I knew in the back of my mind when I got boost ball, okay, Aegon, like, don't forget about it. And then I'm like, well, I have all these checks.
All right.
I
went
just
back
played it too safe.
for storage B. With my super missiles, I got those pretty late. I made like a triple dip into Aegon just for that check, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know what I could have done better. I could have gotten that key earlier. I could have remembered about I forgot about sand processing, but I knew I needed to go back anyways for Incash 2 and storage C and storage, or I already did storage B, but storage C.
Yeah, another thing.
I'm just disappointed. I feel like I just played bad, and that's what made me lose.
Another thing on your end, Bash, that was a bit unfortunate is you did end up double dipping under Temple.
Yeah, that really hurt too. I mean, PP Guardian's not that bad. I was just like, oh, I really hope it's not here because I'm like, I know where Echo Visor is. I can just route that in. I'm gonna go get it, and then I routed in all the other stuff in Sank and got like nothing out of it except for I think maybe a SDK.
Because you did Torvis first, coin flip basically. I went to Sank first and pretty much full cleared that, and then all I had left was Torvis basically.
Well, the thing was, I also played hints, and I'm like, okay, this is going to enforce my decisions. I'm like, nope, it's not helping this scene.
Well, I didn't have Emerald
I really needed
or
to make an Edgewell. Oh, I had Emerald early.
Yeah, because Emerald was in Torvis, but I didn't bother going into Torvis, so I didn't have Emerald. So I was like, a spider's treasure always has something.
Yeah, what I did was after I was done with my Aegon cleanup, I went through to check Plane of Dark Warship, just to see if that had anything. I mean, it was an SDK. And then I went from there through to Great Temple and went to Meeting Grounds that way, and then went to Torvis that way. And then I routed in, I think there was an SDK or something in Windchamber Gateway. No, I just went that way just to check. Oh, found Boost and then went back to Torvis. So I had Boost going into Torvis.
Okay.
But I also, I full cleared, pretty much all of Upper Torvis, except for Plaza Access and Torvis Plaza.
Yeah, Jagger actually did check those. And
then I checked pretty much all of Lower Torvis. And then I checked a bunch of Sanctuary, and I did the loop late. Well, I also checked Airy because I was like, okay, maybe it's here.
Oh no!
It was just that seeker hunt took so long. I never found it. I'm like, damn it.
We gotta hand it to both of you, especially on execution though. You were both BSJing everywhere today.
Yeah, no, my execution was bad. My BSJs were really I lost probably a minute or two just having to route back through Sentinel's Path because I could not nail the BSJ and the Temple Access.
Dang. Yeah, I was I wasn't elite level performance, but I was happy with my performance. I did a bunch of tricks. I did the things. I also like how this seed hash, the seed permalink, has bad in it. That's pretty cool. It basically tells you exactly what the seed's gonna be. Right there in the middle.
Oh, in the permalink, I can't see it.
Yeah, it's BAD in all capital letters.
Oh yeah, that is pretty funny.
You could see it on my mission final screen right under the end.
Yeah, it's right below the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that. The sort of comedy that Randomizer can generate. Once again, with that, Jagger, you are going to the finals, and Bash, you will be fighting whoever wins losers bracket round 3 on Tuesday. So we are looking forward to both of those remaining matches. So folks, there is still plenty of Metroid Prime 2 Randomizer action on queue for the rest of the for the next couple of weeks.
Well, GG's, Jagger. I'm sorry I was a denial about how good you actually are. You really deserve the win.
Thank you. And good luck on your in your finals.
Yeah, I'm gonna need it.
That's how Rando goes. It's largely about luck, honestly.
I mean, it's not. I had a lot of stuff in my control, and I made the wrong guess. It's not even that. I made really bad guesses, and I feel like in hindsight I should have been smarter regarding what was ahead of me.
Well,
Yeah.
with that said, again, give both of these runners a follow because they have done a fantastic. They have put on a amazing show for you today. And also a shout outs to Bellator, our tracker today, who has really been put to work, given especially through Aegon, how much stuff was popping up on everybody's screen. So definitely a big props to him as well for the effort today, and it went really well. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching. Have a good rest of your day, and we will see you next mission.
I'm DCR.
I'm DCR.
That's Tuesday.
Oh.